Welcome, folks, to this edition of the 700 Club. You know, whoever's in charge of the Republican Party should be drawn and quartered for allowing that bloodletting to go on week after week after week as candidates cut each other up and try to eviscerate each other going into the general election. The whole thing is insane. And it should have been stopped months ago, but it continued yesterday, last night. Did you watch that mess?
You know, I watched for a little while.
Yeah.
I just don't have the stomach for it anymore. You know, it's the same old, slam
well, you know,
this, slam that.
Mitt Romney comes out. He ran a terrible campaign. He comes out against Trump, and he says things about him, some of which are true, some are not true. And why? What is he trying to accomplish? You know, if this guy is the front runner, he's bringing hundreds of thousands of new people into the party. If he's the titular head of the party and he's going to be the nominee of the party, then the people don't do themselves any favors by weakening him prior to the general election. The whole thing is insane. And this is a great country, and it just makes you sick at your stomach to see it. I was engaged in this kind of thing back in the days when Reagan ruled, and the rule was the 11th commandment, thou shalt not speak ill of a fellow Republican. But they sure have broken that commandment in spades.
They didn't adhere to the rule last night.
No way. Well, the Republican presidential race has already been a heated affair, as we said, but last night it went to a whole new level of nastiness. Donald Trump, Ted Cruz, and Marco Rubio went after each other with political and personal insults.
The candidates did talk about some issues like the economy and immigration. David Brody was there to sort it all out.
This debate can be summed up in one word: ugly.
Little Marco.
Actually, make that two. Downright ugly.
Breathe.
Lion Ted.
Breathe.
The only person missing was Jerry Springer. Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz took turns laying into frontrunner Donald Trump.
Of all the people on the stage, he performs the worst against Hillary Clinton.
Wrong. I beat Hillary Clinton. I beat Hillary Clinton in many polls. I beat Hillary Clinton in many polls.
If you're our nominee,
excuse me, I think I'm talking.
Hold on, excuse me.
I beat Hillary Clinton in many polls.
Hold on.
John Kasich had enough.
I have never tried to go and get into these kind of scrums that we're seeing here on the stage, and people say everywhere I go, you seem to be the adult on the stage.
But the mudslinging continued, this time with a tussle over Trump University, in which some students are suing for fraud.
This is a case I could have settled very easily, but I don't settle cases very easily when I'm right.
He's trying to con people into giving them their vote, just like he conned these people into giving them their money.
The real con artist is Senator Marco Rubio. Now, the people of Florida can't stand him. He couldn't get elected dog catcher.
We're going to spend the spring, the fall, and the summer with the Republican nominee facing a fraud trial.
Oh, stop
with
it.
Hillary Clinton
it's a minor
saying,
case. It's a minor civil case.
Donald, learn not to interrupt.
There are many, many civil cases.
Count to 10, Donald. Count to 10.
No topic was off limits. Rubio went after Trump on making his clothing line overseas.
He can start tonight by announcing that all the Donald J. Trump clothing will no longer be made in China and in Mexico, but will be made here in the United States.
This little guy has lied so much about my record.
Here we go. You asked him about the economy, and the first thing he does is launch an attack about some little guy thing, because he doesn't have answers. And he's asking us to make him the president of the United States of America.
I know.
This is not a game.
I know what's happening with the economy. You don't know it.
Well, then answer the economy
You haven't
question.
employed in your life one person. Don't worry about it, little Marco.
And then came discussion about an off-the-record conversation that Trump had with the New York Times. There's an audio recording apparently suggesting that Trump isn't as hard-line on his immigration views as he leads on.
How flexible are you on this issue?
Not very flexible. But there's always give and take. There's always negotiation.
Will you release the tape?
No,
authorize
I
the
never
Times
do
to?
that. I would not do that.
But if, in fact, you went to Manhattan and said, I'm lying to the American people, then the voters have a right to know.
No, you're the liar. You're the lying guy up here.
You're the
one. You're the one.
Release the
You're
tape.
the one. Now, let me just tell you. Let me just say, excuse me. I've given my answer, Lion Ted.
Even the Fox News moderators got into the act by playing a video showing what they say are Trump's inconsistent views on issues like the Iraq War, Syrian refugees as well.
You have to show a degree of flexibility. If you're going to be one way and you think it's wrong, does that mean the rest of your life you have to go in the wrong direction because you don't want to change?
Trump's flexibility comments led to this testy exchange over Supreme Court nominees. Trump says Cruz supported John Roberts, who ended up siding with the Obama administration on Obamacare.
I wrote one op-ed supporting President Bush's nomination after he made it. I would not have made that nomination. But let me point out,
not what you say in the op-ed. That is not what you said in the op-ed.
Donald, please, I know it's hard not to interrupt.
But it's not what you said in the op-ed.
Breathe.
Lion Ted.
Breathe. You can do it. You can breathe. I know it's hard. I know it's hard, but just...
When they're done with the yoga, can I answer a question?
You cannot. I really hope that we don't see yoga on this stage.
Well, he's very flexible, so you never know.
Despite the fighting, each candidate answered the question about supporting the eventual Republican nominee, even if it was Trump.
Yes or no?
I'll support Donald if he's the Republican nominee.
Yes, because I gave my word that I would.
Can you definitively say tonight that you will definitely support the Republican nominee for president, even if it's not you?
But the answer is yes, I will.
The Republican candidates will be back on the debate stage next week down in Florida. That is Marco Rubio's home state. The debate is March 15th. It's a winner-take-all primary. And if Donald Trump can win there, then it will be the clearest indication yet that he will be the Republican nominee for president. David Brody, CBN News in Detroit, Michigan.
Thanks, David. I am appalled. I am simply appalled that they would allow this to happen. The ones, Reince Priebus, who's head of their party now, he should have stopped this thing a long time ago. This is ridiculous. And it's giving fodder to whoever the Democratic nominee is. You can see these statements coming up in TV commercials over and over and over again. It is insanity to allow something like that to happen. And this isn't a discussion of issues. It isn't adult discourse about major problems facing the world. This is petty nonsense. It wouldn't even go well in a fraternity in college. I just can't believe it, that we allow this to happen, and yet it's happened, and they're going to do another one. The powers that be in the Republican Party say, no way, no more, no how. Stop it. You know, Hillary Clinton might well be indicted for her email scandals. There's some pretty horrible things going on, and so the leader of the Democratic Party might wind up being indicted in the summer, and the Republican candidate would be weakened by all of the bloodletting that's going on now. Going to the election, who would we choose? Again, ladies and gentlemen, this is the greatest nation on the face of the earth. How can we allow it to become what it has become over the last few months? It is just disgraceful. Well, whoever the next president is, he or she will face some deadly foreign policy challenges, including a possible nuclear threat from North Korea. Ephraim Graham has that story from the CBN newsroom. Here's Ephraim.
Pat, North Korea's leader has ordered its military on standby to launch nuclear strikes at any time. A North Korean news agency confirmed the test fire of a new multiple launch rocket system. The move is in response to the recent harsh UN sanctions over the country's recent nuclear test and long-range rocket launch. Charlene Aaron has this story.
These photos show North Korean leader Kim Jong-un observing the test firing of 6 projectiles off the east coast of the Korean peninsula Thursday. North Korean state media reports that Un wants the country's nuclear weapons to be ready for use at any time, and that the country will ready its military so it is prepared to carry out preemptive attacks. The test firings come in the face of what North Korea sees as an effort by its enemies, South Korea and the U.S., to overthrow its leaders. It follows harsh UN sanctions over the North's recent nuclear test and long-range rocket launch. It also comes ahead of joint U.S.-South Korean war games this month that the North claims are invasion preparations. The UN sanctions include mandatory inspections of cargo leaving and entering North Korea by land, sea, or air, and a ban on all sales or transfers of small arms and light weapons. The Pentagon is urging North Korea to refrain from provocative actions that aggravate tensions. The U.S. and South Korea have begun talks on the possible deployment of a U.S. missile defense shield in the South. Charlene Aaron, CBN News.
Strong leadership needed to respond. Pat?
Well, Peter King said it's a crime family posing as a nation, and that's exactly what it is. But nevertheless, they are paranoid, they are isolated, and they're filled with propaganda. And it is disgusting to see what they are doing. But nevertheless, they're spending at least a third of their GDP or more on arms. And they have enough arms to distribute and sell them to other countries. So they have advanced missile technology. They claim they have thermonuclear weapons, and they probably do. And they have a tremendous arsenal of weapons and troops. They threaten South Korea, but nevertheless, something should be done. I don't know what the answer is, but something has to be done. And one of the people have said, well, we ought to lean on China, but I don't know. China's probably very happy to have them down there giving us trouble. But nevertheless, to have a rogue state like that running around the world, it's very, very disturbing and very dangerous. Efren?
Pat, a disturbing new video released by the Islamic State appears to show the group raising up a new generation of terrorists. The video, reported by the London Daily Mail, starts off showing the orphan children of jihadi parents who've been killed playing with toys and being given food. The children seem to be having a good time like typical children, but then the video shifts to a military perspective as it shows young boys in military outfits training and learning how to fight as the next generation of ISIS warriors. You can get a link to the story and see more of this video by going to our website. It's cbnnews.com.